Hello there, Brick Fanatics. This is LEGO 10315 Tranquil Garden, the most recent LEGO icon set to release and one of the most versatile LEGO icon sets for a good while. As LEGO fans, we all like to collect different things. Recent trends have seen a lot of adults picking up LEGO for the first time in adulthood and embracing things like the Botanical Collection, where they can build lovely flowers, or the LEGO architecture sets where they can build wonderful scale models of famous real-life landmarks. Tranquil Garden does a little bit of both of these things. As can be seen very clearly, there's some wonderful cherry blossoms here showing off a fantastic view of a traditional Japanese garden with a variety of different other plants over here as well. We've also got this amazing pavilion which is just a joy to construct and which features on the inside a little traditional tea house. The Tranquil Garden set can fit basically into any LEGO collection with certain limitations. Obviously, if you're only into building spaceships, then this is going to look a bit odd on your shelf. It's going to look fantastic on the shelf, but it's just going to be an odd inclusion. But if you are somebody who's collecting the LEGO architecture sets, this is a great addition to that collection because it's got that wonderful pavilion. If you're more a fan of LEGO botanicals, if you've got a collection of, or a growing collection of plants of different types built out of LEGO, then this is an excellent addition to that as well. The set that it pairs most nicely with is the bonsai tree that released a few years ago, which comes with a similar base, and so the two look like they're designed to be on the shelf next to each other. And if all you're looking for is a set that shows off the Zen majesty of a tranquil Japanese garden, then this has got it in spades. Particularly enjoyable are the delightful little koi carp that are swimming around in the river that runs through the middle of this set. These are not too dissimilar from the Chinese Spring Lantern Festival set that released a few years ago, albeit this is very much a Japanese representation of a koi carp pond with a pavilion and a bridge, whereas that set is, of course, Chinese culture instead. It looks slightly different because of different trends in architecture between two different countries with different stylistic choices. These koi carp have also more recently appeared in the Botanical Gardens LEGO Friends set, which is also just wonderful to behold. And I have to say, putting together the koi carp river is one of the highlights of the set, and it's the point where the build gets good. Because you start with the pavilion, which is wonderful, but is a very simple build and slightly repetitive because you're building a lot of the same paper windows. And then you build the base, and the base is a base as you would expect of any LEGO set of this type. It's a perfectly perfunctory build. You're not at the stage yet where you're adding in layer upon layer of interesting stuff. The koi river is the first interesting thing that you build. It's from this point onwards that things get a little bit more challenging and a little bit more satisfying to put together, where you're building a lot of the terrain and seeing level upon level rise up on the top of the base that you've established right off of the bat. And then you get to the fantastic stage where you start building and inserting these removable plants, which can be swapped around and put wherever you want them to be, so that you can arrange the set as you would best like it to be displayed. Now, perhaps you're not the biggest fan of the architecture or botanical sets and you like something with a little more whimsy in your LEGO. As it comes out of the box, this set is fairly grown up, fairly mature, fairly sophisticated and classy, and therefore it doesn't have a lot of the kind of spark and the humour that you would get from a lot of LEGO sets, which a lot of people really enjoy. But the set is different to the architecture sets in that where the architecture sets are normally built at microscale, and where indeed the Botanical Collection is mostly one-to-one and supposed to be life-size, this is built at minifigure scale, as can be seen from the lovely little tea sets, which means if you want to, you don't have to display it as a kind of an environment bereft of human beings. You can add in minifigures, and you can add in some appropriate ones. You could put in like a Ninjago figure and that would fit very well, or there's various figures from the collectible minifigure bags that will work very well, but you're also not limited if you want to, for example, just stick Bugs Bunny in the middle of the display. Like, who's going to stop you? You can display this however you want, and to that end it's going to be very useful as well for fans of modular buildings or people who like to build their own cityscapes, because suddenly you've got this delightful Japanese inspired garden that can just be slotted in with the rest of your sets. So the base is fairly sturdy, but it's also, with a little bit of ingenuity, removable and can be replaced with something else, or you can just slot this in alongside a modular building, and it's going to look fairly decent. I don't know why I decided that Bugs Bunny was the minifigure that I thought would be the funniest to put in here, but for some reason it's just the idea of this like tranquil, definitely for grown-ups with serious faces kind of set. It just felt like the perfect opportunity to throw a Bugs in there and ruin the atmosphere, kind of puncture some of that delightful self-importance. I don't know, perhaps that's just me. Perhaps I just like Bugs Bunny, that's also good. I'm at a loss to pick my favourite part of this build, and I think the reason for that is that everything is just delightful. There's nothing where I feel like, oh, that's wasted, that's unnecessary. Everything contributes to the overall completed picture. And similarly, no one element really stands out as being something that we've never seen before. I think that's one of the clever things about this, is it reminds me of a lot of different sets that I've either personally built or have lusted over the years. There's elements of, say, the diorama Star Wars sets, especially with the kind of the transparent river running through the middle of the set. Reminds me a lot of the Dagobah Jedi training diorama. There's the pavilion and the bridge when combined with the koi carp pond, which reminds me a lot of the Spring Lantern Festival. There are fantastic little touches in here that have clearly been learned from different Botanical Collection sets over time. Yes, the bonsai trees are one of them, but also just the way that it's put together. It feels like a culmination of so many other very well put together sets where their best bits have been distilled into something concrete that has then been kind of poured into the mold, which is kind of a Japanese garden, where everything here works. And it's not common to be able to say that of a Lego set. So yes, while the build is slow to start with, as you're putting it together and you build the pavilion, which is probably the most basic part of the set, and you think to yourself, okay, all right, this is fun. It really goes to another level once you start layering up the different parts of the terrain. It's delightful, it really is, and it looks fantastic on a shelf. This is probably going to be a big seller for Lego for a while to come. As we've seen, a lot of the existing Botanical Collection sets and the architecture sets have done very well. The bonsai tree is one of those sets where you can just give it to your mum, or you can give it to a relative or a friend who might not necessarily be into Lego, and they'll still get something out of it. And this is another set in that vein, where you don't necessarily have to be a big fan of Lego to appreciate it, and you can have it on your shelf without it feeling a bit childish, which is apparently something that some people are worried about when it comes to Lego, that it might seem a bit childish, which I don't personally understand, but hey, to each their own. I've had to really rack my brain to think of a negative or a downside to this set, and ultimately the best that I can come up with is that in some places it's a bit flimsy. Like it's easy for certain bits to break off, like some of the little grey stone lanterns in here can kind of just come off easily. Which is probably not an issue if you're not trying to carry it in a box to your local park to film. For most people, if you put it on the shelf, it's going to stay fairly intact. This is a set which, maybe more than a lot of different Lego for Adults sets, really is best aimed at adults, because it, as beautiful as it is, and as fun as it probably would be to play with this set and use it as an actual toy, it would disintegrate fairly quickly, and you'd just be left with kind of the shell with all of the lovely foliage broken off and just disappeared under the couch. So this is really a set that is aimed for grown-ups for display purposes primarily. There are other more accessible, more sturdy kind of Japanese-inspired sets if you're looking for something as a playset instead. But beyond just an awareness that this set is meant for adults and is meant for display, there's not really much that doesn't work here. And even then, it's not that the set doesn't work, it's that it's simply not designed to be given to a toddler. In terms of size, it's probably the perfect size for a set of this nature. You wouldn't want it to be any bigger than this. Any smaller and you would lose some of the details, some of the wonderful kind of the lotus flowers on the river, or some of the space that it requires. It doesn't feel like there's any wasted space on this set. It doesn't feel like there's any parts that don't have enough things in, because there's something everywhere, from the stepping stones to the little grey stone lanterns, to just the trees, the little tiny pine trees. It doesn't feel sparse, but at the same time it also doesn't feel too crowded. I like the little touches on this set. I like the slippers that are by the entrance to the tea house, because you wouldn't wear your outdoor shoes inside a tea house. That would be absolute madness. Can you imagine being the kind of horrible person that would wear their shoes indoors? No, 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 no. So you can tell the legacy of this set and how it connects to the rest of LEGO's past, because as is the case with a lot of the Botanical Collection sets and a lot of LEGO art sets, there is a little frog. Because of course there's a little frog. You can't make a set like this without a frog. Now this is just the one frog, which means that the frog to other piece ratio is sorely lacking in this particular set. But I'm glad that they managed to sneak it in there anyway and just include something that for some LEGO fans has become a nice little Easter egg to see hidden in a bunch of different things. And it appropriately fits as a little stone frog in this garden. Like for the price, it feels like you get a decent amount of LEGO set, I have to say, and it's not too expensive. Like if they had made it bigger and it had become a bit more expensive, it would have been harder to recommend. Similarly, if it had been a bit smaller and a bit cheaper, there wouldn't have been quite enough of it. So it's the perfect set. The more I talk about it, the more I realise it is basically perfect. Nice. Ultimately, while there is no one LEGO set that suits everybody, this one comes fairly close, and it's going to look absolutely spectacular no matter what else you have on the shelf next to it. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe and hit the notification bell, do the YouTube things. Leave a comment to let us know whether or not this set is going to be added to your personal collection. If you do add it to your collection, make sure you use our affiliate link in order to help Brick Fanatics and support the work that we do. There is a QR code there which will take you straight to the LEGO website via our affiliate link so that you're able to make your purchase, and we get a little bit of a kickback and it helps to support us. Thank you very much for watching and have a lovely day.